Aloha and welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. I'm your adventure guide, Bear Woznick, coming to you from Waikiki Beach. It's beautiful here in paradise. It's that time of year when the whales come basically right out in front of our house. They kind of gather around sunset, just about a half a mile offshore here, and we've started to see whales, so it's beautiful to have the whales back. We have a cool returning guest with us, BJ Mckay. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick Adventure.
Welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Kickstart that engine and roll thunder with the pack. Explore the grittiness of manly spirituality. Gain traction in the virtues. Soup up your spiritual engine by turning adversity into adventure. Now here's Bear Woznick. Let's ride.
Aloha. My wife likes us to start out by praying, making the sign of the cross in Hawaiian, so I'll do that. Ke makua, ke keiki, ame ke ohana hemalele. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, bless our time together. I'm going to read to you guys, you start off with a little inspirational monologue. And I thought this is going to be cool because I have a new book called Men of Grit and Grace, Daily Challenges for Men to Chew On. It's not out yet. Sophia will have it out in the next several months. But I'm going to read you, we have 366 man meditations in here, so I'm just going to read one of them. They're very brief. So for today, act like men. Be watchful. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. It's written by a dude that was shipwrecked. I don't remember how many times, I think 4 times. So he's a pretty gnarly dude. And so when he says act like men, he knows what it means to be tough. It bears repeating. Why do you think Paul challenged them to act like men instead of to act like a man? Because he knew that a real man grows in strength and in solid virtue when he has a brotherhood of other good men that will stand with him, inspire him, embolden him, and challenge him come hell or high water. That doesn't mean like YouTube, hold my beer moments either. That means being bold in your call, in your purpose, and in virtue. As one of the regulators in the film Young Guns bemoaned during a gunfight, it's tough to be pals. And so it is. To be a real friend at times will be tough. It won't always be convenient or easy to be a real friend, and yet it is being a true friend, and it is staying in the company of a few good men that grows us into a man. Chew on it. That's my wife's cowgirl contribution to the book. Those 3 words appear after every one of the man meditations. We got BJ Mckay with us today, and the only reason why I invited him on the show is somehow something happened last weekend in Miami when Indiana rolled into town. A local boy from Miami who was raised right near that stadium, Mendoza, quarterbacking for Indiana, goes in and wins the national championship. And when you were out here, a few months ago, we were talking a story about, hey man, Indiana's really doing good. So I've been texting you every Saturday. Mm-hmm. So what's the mood like back in Indiana right now?
Yeah, it's electric. I mean, I think not only that, it's the state university, the most known university in Indiana, the Hoosiers. I think the sentimentality of the way that team was put together with a bunch of no stars up to 2 stars, almost like Billy Bean's A's team in like the Moneyball fame, where it was just the right people, guys that were scorned by the bigger universities and overlooked, and he brought them together with this winning ethos. And you talk about like grit and grace. I mean, what a living, breathing example of it on the old gridiron, to watch a team not only win a national championship, but have a flawless season, like 0 losses throughout there, like one of the greatest turnarounds in college football history. It's almost like the movie The Hoosiers. It's almost the football version of the same thing at the same exact school. So the state is on fire. I think everyone's going to be allowed to be in a good mood for the rest of the week, at least. They're going to let that happen. So it's
so cool, man. First of all, what the heck is a Hoosier?
I am a transplant, so I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania originally. So what is a Hoosier? And that's I don't even know the answer. I'd have to go to the internet to tell me
You
what
have to
that
go
is.
to Grok and find out what that is.
Probably.
Okay, but these guys, I loved it. Mendoza, he won the Heisman too, right? Didn't he win the Heisman? And he was raised right next to that stadium, and Miami just ignored him. But they won 16 games without a loss. They had only one fumble this year. It was in the first quarter of the first game. And there hasn't been a football team go 16-0. I think it was back in the 1800s. I think it was 1886 or 1894. It was Yale. So
Yep.
So I mean, now to get to not just to win, but they had all these extra playoff games they had to win through too. And I tell you, I was cheering for Miami and Indiana all the way through the playoffs, because all my good buddies in Florida are Miami fans. One of mine has a few big old rings on his fingers, from the championship days. So, but Indiana is the story, man. And so what does that speak to you? I mean, when I remember that coach showed up a few years ago, I thought, this guy's different. Did you see during the game he kind of had a little smirk when they did something right in the last 2 minutes? Otherwise, he's no expression. He looks like a CPA during an audit or something.
Yeah, 100%. Like Kurt Cignetti he's an enigma. Like in this world where there's NILs, there's transfer portals. It's like the whole different universe of college football. So the way that you got to win, the landscape is completely changed. And he's the kind of the first example of someone pulling something together in an incredibly short order to make that happen. And I think like he comes from the line of Nick Saban. So it's that unplussed, do your job, go to your role and do your job the best you can. Like that's how you serve your brothers in the trenches, is not worrying about anything but where your foot goes, where your hand goes, and executing well on every play.
They did. They did. You could see the play of the cornerbacks, how precise they were in their hand movements and stuff. And I mean, like they had like the least penalized team in the country. They're so disciplined.
I think they don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, I mean, and Miami, I think, had 3 major penalties that probably could have cost them the game, because at critical moments they were 3 and out, and there's a penalty. So okay, so you were moving in the direction of talking about how that has to do with brotherhood.
Yeah, and I think some of the magic, and I'm not in the locker room. I'm fortunate that a friend of mine locally here, his son is a freshman punter and kicker for IU. So he's a true freshman punter and kicker who's been out in the field there. And so I've been like living vicariously through him and his son. He was just down in Miami and what have you, but I don't have any inside track on the locker room, whatever. But like everything you see and hear from this team, from the standpoint of like, what's it you just talked about in your from Grit and Grace, like, what's a real man, that brotherhood of virtue. They were aligned around a culture. They were bought in from like soup to nuts, all the way through, all the way down. And in that, there's a level of that you draw out, that you strip out that individual exceptionalism that people think they need to be. I need to be something because I want to hit the transfer portal next year. I need to be something because I need to do, like, that didn't exist. And I think you saw it most clearly whenever Mendoza was interviewed. This isn't about me. This isn't about, it's about my brothers. It's about it's all the glory to God. It's all about, like, it's just like my body is at the service of all of these other men and all of those fans in the stands. And even Cignetti, one of the first things he said on the win, he's like, I'm just so happy that these fans deserve this. These fans, this Hoosier Nation, they deserve this. Where it was just like, it's not about you, man.
Right.
It's about this bigger, grander thing that's going on. And I think that's a huge message given. This team isn't stuffed with 4- and 5-star recruits that were blue chippers everywhere. So it was like, that's the kind of puzzle where you're like, other coaches have to be pulling their hair out thinking, we have way better talent than you, I mean, period.
That was the classic University of Texas quagmire, where they had all these all-stars coming in, 4-star, 5-star recruits. They didn't know how to play as a team. They didn't know how to give. I mean, you could see some blocks the receivers were laying on down the field, and Cignetti took a cheap shot early in the game. Where he got headbutted to the chin, and bit his lip. Mendoza, I mean. Yeah. And then he scores that amazing, where he's hit, and on the 4-yard line, he does this Superman's it across the goal line. So, but what I like about what Cignetti said too is, I wonder what his faith is. But he said, we're standing on the shoulders of the 2024 football team. And we as Catholics, that's what we're doing. We stand on the shoulders. We believe in apostolic succession. We're not trying to invent a new religion. I mean, there's so many new religions every week, new churches that are saying we're Bible-based church. I don't want to get into the soapbox, but we're Bible-based churches. This is the way the Bible said it. But we as Catholics, we're walking among giants, first of all, because we've got the community of saints, and our faith is built on the sacrifice of 2,000 years of saints. So we're talking to BJ Mckay. We usually don't have a guest back right away, but he was on here, I think, just a few months ago. I just love this guy. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick adventure. Schoolofmanliness.com is a place for men of grit and grace to join together, to inspire, to encourage, and to challenge each other to grow in manly virtue. Members receive morning man meditations, a monthly curriculum that is rich with audio, video, and written content, and a trail guide to help you map out your new trajectory. Many of our members lead their sons through this same curriculum. Your membership gives you access to both the Man Cave, which is our non-Facebook type community, and the School of Manliness at schoolofmanliness.com. Become a member at schoolofmanliness.com. Deep Adventure Ministries is grateful to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for underwriting the Bear Woznick adventure on EWTN. Notre Dame Federal Credit Union provides car loans, mortgages, SBA loans, and depository accounts nationwide, as well as 24-hour support. Go to deepadventure.com to find their link, or go to NotreDameFCU.com. Mahalo to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for making the Bear Woznick adventure possible. My newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?, has hit the top 5 in Christian books for a good reason. It's because men are searching for traction and a trail guide to live out the unique calling and the gifts that they were born with, that each man individually is factory loaded with by God. Paul said, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, do all things in love. Finally, here is a book that talks with men the way men talk with each other. Just plain old straight shooting. By the way, Mama Bears, this is your chance to get this message to your men. Go to schoolofmanliness.com or anywhere books are sold. 12 Rules for Manliness. Where have all the cowboys gone?
This is a warning. The Bear Woznick adventure is dangerous. The radical change Bear challenges you to is not for wimps. Change this station now to a soft rock station before it's too late. You've been warned. Now, here is Bear Woznick.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick adventure, you guys. We've got our annual Man Cave meetup happening in Melbourne Beach, April 24th through the 26th of this. It's right on the beach. You can bring your wives, but there's plenty of things for the wives to do. But bring your brother-in-law, bring your sons, any young man, really 14 or over, comes, and we have our retreat right down on the beach. We surf, we have whiskey at night, tell lies about how good we used to be, and it's just a day and a half of Friday night and then all day Saturday and early morning Sunday, and then Mass on Sunday. And then we leave. So April 4th through the 26th, go to schoolofmanliness.com, click on the link, and come out and join us. We're staying at a hotel right on the beach. This is, I think, our 5th annual Man Cave meetup in Melbourne Beach. It's just a great location. We have with us today BJ Mckay, who's Indiana Hoosiers, won the national championship, and he doesn't even know what a Hoosier is. I mean, I don't even know what I don't know what a Buckeye is. Certainly don't know what a Hoosier is, but you're up there in the Midwest. It's your kuleana to figure that out. And
it's my first homework assignment when we get off the call here.
Hey, so I want to ask you about this. You recently spoke at the Sikh event, one of the Sikh events.
Yes, very fortunate.
Tell us about that experience and what it was, what you shared, and what you just lay it out. I want to hear all about what happened there.
Yes, I'm happy to. And for those that are unfamiliar, Sikh is brought to the world by Focus Catholic missionaries out of Denver, and they run these amazing conferences. The first time I got to go to one, there was 3. I was fortunate enough to speak at the one in Dallas, Fort Worth. The one in Columbus, it was like 20 degrees. In Dallas, Fort Worth, it was at least in the 50s, 60s. So I think I drew the right card there. But it was a blessing to be invited. And the track that I was on was the campus ministry track. So the folks that I was preparing to present to were priests, religious, and then campus ministers throughout a ton of schools and dioceses all around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and kind of like the South down there. And it was a room capacity was about 200. We were pretty close to that, somewhere like 180, 185 in that room. And I like to, I can brag on one thing. No one left. I didn't see the doors open and anybody leave while we were talking, but the nature of what I was brought in to talk about was influencing without authority. Influencing without authority. In that, why that title is like, well, don't you need some authority to influence? It's really speaking about people think they need to be something, they need to be worthy of something, have some sort of title or panache to be worthy to be heard, to be worthy to have influence. So if I'm a diocesan priest or I'm a campus minister, you're part of a bigger whole. And I think sometimes folks struggle to navigate, how do I live out my Christian faith and lead when I don't have like the power position? I don't have leverage in that position.
Oh, do you mean like someone like James or Peter or Andrew, or you mean kind of like those kind of people who were just simple fishermen?
Yep. And John the Baptist, I'm not even worthy to untie the strap of his sandal, like how do I influence from that position? Yeah. And
so how do you do that?
Yeah, there was 3 main themes. There was 3 main themes that we covered and anchored things in. I was able to tell some of my story and how I did this, but a couple of things I anchored it in. The big 3 things were in order, where number 1 was detachment.
Ooh, yeah, you told me you were big on that last time we talked.
Yeah, detachment, self-awareness, and confidence.
Yeah.
So those are kind of your primers or the prerequisites. And, I was able to tell stories about my own life and bringing up mentors and people that I allowed to influence me, and kind of looking at the patterns. Like, who do you allow to influence if you're listening to this? And I want to grow as a man, and, I want to be more virtuous, and I want to do that. I'm like, great. Like, who has guided you in your life? Who do you already listen to? And what was it that merited that for you? Why did you open your ears or your heart or your soul to that person? What was true about them? And I think when people go back without evaluation, happy to break down any one of them, they're typically self-aware. There's a general sense they're not overconfident. They're not narcissistic. They're not like, there's a general sense of self, and they're not self-diminishing. They're not this person like, oh, no. Like, there's just self-awareness, and they're detached. They're not attached. They don't need something from you. They're not trying to just force you and persuade you into what they want you to be, and they're overly telling you what to do. And last is they're typically confident. And when you see someone confident, you listen to them, and there's credibility in the fact that they belong there. There's even footing when you're working with them. They're typically nonplussed. They're not overly reactionary people when that happens. And those are the stories that I was able to tell about some key figures at different stages of my life, where I was and many men listening to this probably have been those moments where you're kind of grasping for a hand. Like, what's going on in my life? Like, what's happening to me right now? Like, who am I supposed to call? And, then I tell them, you want an evaluation, like, think about the top 3 people you think of. Those are the type of people that are likely living out those type of virtues that are the holes that you're struggling with, or the challenge that you find yourself in.
That's so cool. I think when you were here, when we spoke last time, wasn't it you that said confidence means with faith?
It might have been. Like, usually when I'm talking and I say something interesting and someone asks me 5 minutes later, how did I say that? I don't know.
It's con means with, fide means faith. Yeah. I was going to say, right, I was thinking about that moment, the videos we saw recently was taking place in Crazy Town, Minneapolis, and those people went into that church. As shocking as what they were doing was, there was I saw on the faces of the parishioners there, or the Christians there, a sort of a bliss, just like God's got this. There was just that kind of, there wasn't this sense of terror or of retaliation. There was just this sense of confidence. God's got this, and there's that moment when the thing about the college ministry. What's so important is that's it. That's that moment. That's that time in people's lives when they're asking a lot of questions. I mean, in high school, there's just a lot of confusion. People are starting to ask the right questions, but you don't get to have the kind of conversations usually after college that you can have in college. Philosophical, what's the meaning of life, and things like that. So this work that's reaching out to these young people, it's so important. But I was meeting with some men the other day from Gillette, Wyoming. We zoomed in on their men's conference. They're using my book in their not their men's conference, their monthly men's meetup. And I was talking with them. How do you reach? It's this. Our generation needs to reach that younger generation. We need to be bold enough. The confidence that you talked about, not being so much into yourself, to be able to have a conversation with someone who's at the coffee shop, sitting at the table next to us. When you were here in Hawaii a few months ago, besides the conversations that you had, because you were working with the leadership team at the Outrigger Hotels, our local hotel chain, how many conversations did you feel like you might have had that just kind of, there was a little crack and you were able to say something that encouraged or inspired someone? Because you met a lot of people while you were here. Did you have those? Did you have those kind of moments?
It's tough to tell individually when those moments happen, when those aha or connection points happen. But the nature of what I'm talking about is, especially with the Outrigger group, was all about self-awareness. The whole 2 days was about, how do I map self-awareness? How do I do that at scale in an organization to equip leaders at all levels to better meet people's needs, understand them, and communicate on their terms? And whenever you do that and say, Bear, you and I are talking, and I show you someone that's wired different than you. Yeah. They need very different things than you. It encourages you to look inside. You're like, wow, like what you just told me to do to this person sounds like punishment to me. It sounds I would never want anyone to do that to me.
I see.
And it puts them in this moment like, oh, that relationship I have, or the stories that I've told myself about that person or that situation was this gap in the fact that I didn't know what their needs were. I only looked at the world through the lens of my own. That everyone must want X, Y, and Z. That wouldn't it be natural? Right. And I always tell everyone the biggest lie you can tell yourself, even going into a work meeting, is, obviously, rationally, I mean, everybody was there, and there's no greater way to be bound in non-truth than that statement alone. Versus, I wonder how everyone experienced what we just talked about. I wonder what they heard when they talked about it, and actually be inquisitive and curious as to how it went, versus assuming, well, we all had the same meeting, right? Even you go to mass, it's like, oh, that mass was beautiful. And then after you leave, I go talk to my wife, who was corralling the kids all mass. And she had an entirely different, we were at the same place.
Yeah.
Whole different experience.
But it's part of that too. We'll take a break here in a moment. But like one of the things I find is, like Cindy says, we have coffee shop ministry. We live in Waikiki. People are kind of more open to talking, especially if you're local. People want to talk with you. But it's always good, that moment when you begin to ask questions. Like you just said, how did you experience that? To say, well, what brings you here? Or you have a beautiful child, what is her interests or something? When you have a chance just to ask a question, and it's, I guess they used to use the word, you identify the felt need. You can see in someone where their heart is when you begin to just ask them questions. So you're aware enough of yourself to realize that you don't really know what's going on with that person. And I have found, because I have a radio show, that everybody has an amazing story. Everyone. I sat down to the coffee shop the other day, and I've seen this auntie come in recently, at the little coffee shop there. Auntie, I found out her name's Auntie Ann. She's 82. She used to be a hula dancer with Don Ho. And I just know all kinds of stuff about her now. And her face just lights up when we show up there. And she has a story to tell. And we can also be part of that story by just being an encouragement to them. And she knows we come out of mass when we come over there, and just kind of, be a light to them. But we start by getting to know them and valuing them. We're talking with BJ Mckay. Well, just I hate to say inspirational, but he is. But he challenges, just by his demeanor and who he is, it challenges us to recognize the purpose God's calling us to, and that we can do it. We'll be right back with BJ Mckay. People love our EWTN TV show, Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick. Thanks to you, the show has won 4 different Tally Awards. And now, instead of waiting each week for the next episode to air, you can actually binge watch our show and even share it with your friends when you go to deepadventure.com and join the Mama Bears or the Man Cave. Along with all the other benefits, you get total access to all the seasons of our aired episodes, plus instant access to episodes that won't even air for several months. Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick, a great way to communicate the gospel in a gritty enough way that even tough men will stop and watch at deepadventure.com. Here is a YouTube video short, which is based on an excerpt from my newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? We live in a crossfire hurricane, for our struggle is not against enemies of blood and flesh, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Men must come to grips with the fact that we were born into the midst of the crossfire of a spiritual battlefield. The battle rages on, and so many men do not even realize that they are in a fight to the death. They seem like little children wandering through the streets of Beirut in the middle of a war fight. They're in a battle and they don't even know it. Wake up, stand up, and fight. Fight the good fight. And you wage that war by love, by self-donation, and by prayer. Here is a YouTube video short, which is based on an excerpt from my newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Do what needs to be done. When I was young, the men around me knew that their families counted on them to provide for them, and they knew that their families counted on them to protect them. There was no condescending nanny state taking care of them like those men were victims. No, they just manned up and did what needed to be done. The men that I knew growing up were like rocks. Immovable and maybe to some degree unhuggable, but they were men. They knew their duty and they did it. They manned up by giving themselves to those that they loved.
Be the kind of man that when he gets out of bed in the morning, the devil says, "Oh no, he's up." Go to deepadventure.com and invite Bear to speak.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick Adventure. We do have the Man Cave meetup, April 24th and 26th. Go to our website, School of Manliness, and sign up for our event in Melbourne Beach. Also, why not join our Man Cave and our School of Manliness while you're there? Every Saturday morning, you get a curriculum on the School of Manliness. It might be a video, it might be audio, but you get curriculum for that week. And every morning, you get an excerpt. We go all the way through the catechism, from the catechism, and once a month we do a Zoom meetup call with all the men. And our idea is for us to build each other up. We're all like the cave of Adullam, like King David, when all of the misfits showed up and they formed each other and God formed them into the mighty men of valor. And so many men of the Man Cave then are starting their own, in a sense, Man Cave. They have small groups. They may meet for a cigar and whiskey once a week a month with their friends, or maybe they're having coffee every Friday morning. But the idea is to inspire the men to be leaders, because we as leaders, BJ Mckay is here with us. Our goal as leaders isn't to make followers, is it? It's to make leaders.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think that, thinking about that from another angle too, like a great leader is one of the best followers you can imagine.
Has to be.
Like anywhere you go is, and even you brought up me and like why I'm even here is that, work with leaders and cultures that I've been doing so for 16 years. And one of the things you find is the leader's behavior, like that behavior itself is what colors the culture. That's what they do, not what they say, not what's on the wall, not their platitudes. They watch the behavior every single day, and they're teaching people how to follow, how to lead. And it looks like the same, like how to lead like Jesus, that servant leadership.
Yeah.
It's not it's spoken about a lot. I think it's done more rare, that it actually plays out day in and day out in terms of how we communicate, run meetings, interact with each other, not only at work, but in our like social circles and at home.
How often in an organization, I'm a CPA, and my dad was a small business. He inspired a lot of people in small business and coached them in leadership too, like similar to you. But how often will I be in conversation with someone who's starting a business or having a problem with their business, and I'll say, well, that solution has to start with you. You're the one setting the culture. You can do all these systems or change this or change that or hire this person or fire that person. But reality is, it's not always the case, but the reality is you're the one that needs to, it starts with you. If you don't have a change in culture in your own heart and yourself, don't expect that in your company. And then you look at what's happening in families. And as a family grows and the children get a little bit older and more they take on the failures maybe of the father, and they see his failures and little things and use it as an excuse to blow it in bigger areas. Mm-hmm. But how important is that to know? Because you talked about servant leadership. How important is it for people to know that if you want to change something in your home or in your business or in your church, it's you that needs to start?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good anchor to set, because I think it's wondering where to start when someone hears that. Like, we can speak about that and someone listening to this might be like, yeah, but what am I supposed to do? And I think it's in the acknowledgement of that failure. If you're a dad that like drinks too much and maybe you shouldn't, and you watch too much TV, or there's some attribute like vice or habit that, man, I hope my kids don't do this. Or I hope my people don't do this. If you're at a company or at church, it's like, well, I hope that as long as they never know that I'm like actually a big sinner and I have these big flaws in me, the first step is actually calling that out, sharing that out, and saying like, hey, I struggle with. That's a level of self-awareness and honesty that trains people on, we're allowed to talk about that. And it's wrong, and you're struggling with, versus this assumption that whether it's your dad or whether it's somebody else, a character in your community or in your circle that you really look up to and think, oh, they're just top to bottom, like knight in shining armor. If I could ever do that, whether it's like someone at the gym or it's someone at work that just seems like a superstar, or they're like Instagram famous, everything just looks so crispy. The odds are it's insidious underneath that. But when you're a leader and you go out and be like, hey, I'd like to start the meeting today with like, I made some real big mistakes last week, and I want to call those out for the group and just let you know I know, and let me know if I missed anything. Yeah. I just don't think there's so much magic happens when you add that level of humanity to conversations, because it gives permission for other people to step up and say, hey, you know what? I struggled with that too. Or even validating you. Bear, when you said X, Y, and Z, I was also confused, and it made this week go, hey, I'm glad you shared that, and I recognize it. Yeah. Yeah. It just it's a catalyst. It just shifts the whole conversation from the performative, when we're just performing in life to be something. Yeah. Or to look like we're worthy, to kind of wear that veneer instead of just being real. And you talk about it all the time. And like every time you use the word like grit, like you got to be gritty, you got to get in that grit. It's the same. It's pointing at the same things. Gritty is what? It's like rough. It's like rough on your hand. It's like, it's dirty. It's hard. It's hard to deal with. It's challenging. It's not this smooth, easygoing, like it's slick thing. It's you win the most souls. You win the most influence when you're the most real version of yourself. Right. Pointing at your inadequacies and your sins and your faults, pointing what you're struggling with now. And then even and in the same breath, talking about what you have overcome and the tools and ways that you did it. Yeah, there's my first book, A Surfer's Guide to the Soul. It was autobiographical, and it was basically
using surfing as an analogy for Carmelite spirituality is pretty cool. But in there, I always tell a lot of stories, and I was very open about some very big challenges I had in my life. And because of that, people who have read the book will come up with me and share with me what's going on in their lives, you know. And it's important, like going back to men's relationship, when Paul said, act like men, that we need brothers. And Father Bryce Lundgren, in his book, The Catholic Cowboy Way, he says, if I was riding along with my buddy Zeke, you know, on the horse next to me, and I said, hey, Zeke, you know, we got to learn to be a little bit more vulnerable and transparent with each other. He would be on the next 2 ridges away within a heartbeat. But if I said we need to get more gritty and real with each other, that's what men need, especially young men. I remember when I was young, I didn't want to admit any problems, you know, and you realize you can't hide them anyway. But with men, the thing about men encouraging other men is we have to be transparent, and we have to be gritty. There's no glory, by the way. You know what? I'm going to just say I wasn't the perfect man, but I think it's so many men say, let me tell you my testimony, and it's, I was the greatest sinner and God saved me from sin. Well, I don't, you know, I'm going to just say it like it was. I didn't drink. I was a virgin on my wedding night. I'm not saying I was perfect, but how much better is it if you have a relationship as a young man with God that saves you from that instead of saves you out of it? You know, that we can, but still, I struggled. You know, I was trying so hard to measure up, and I didn't want anyone to see wherever my flaws or my weaknesses are. And as men, we need to do that. Especially why I'm going that direction is, as men, we need to find a way to uncle the younger men. We need to find a way to reach them. Maybe I don't know, teaching confirmation class, or maybe being a coach, or just saying more than just hello to your son's friends when they come in the house, but we need to find a way to uncle the younger men and to.
Can I speak to that real quick?
Yeah.
I had an opportunity. It's a very unfortunate opportunity for that situation. Talk about uncling. It just came into my mind. I want to tie it to something of just the importance of building your own personal virtue, to being at the ready for when those moments come.
Yeah.
Because you want to be ready, and you can totally control if you're ready with your spiritual life, your practices. Are you taking advantage of the sacraments? Are you doing these type of things that we're talking about? And that my godson Anthony recently lost a friend tragically in a car accident on I-79. His friend Austin, you know, God rest his soul and hopefully carry him right into heaven with you, Father. And his father reached out to me and he said, hey, you might want to reach out to Ant and say, just because it mean a lot to him. And I sent him a note. You never know if, you know, he's in college and if you're going to get a call back or not, but you're extending the line. And, you know, we had a probably 25, 35-minute conversation last night, and just sitting with that grief, not washing it away and saying, oh, you know, he's in a better place. But like, really, like, this is hard. Yeah. This is it. And it's just, I felt it was a massive blessing that I was able to have that conversation, to be thought of that way, whatever. But it was like, I'm glad I had the practices in place, and I've been steeping myself in these things, because you don't know when those moments going to come and when someone's going to reach out to you. If you're in a formal role, like a coach, a teacher, you're teaching catechesis or something, that's terrific. But sometimes those might come in a day and time you don't know. And, you know, I ask yourself, it's like, what am I doing am I doing the things to be credible and ready if and when those come up, versus being hapless when I don't know what to say, because managing grief and loss is one of the more spiritually, emotionally, psychologically complicated things that you can meet somebody in.
We're going to be right back. We're talking with BJ Mckay. We'll continue this conversation in a moment. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick adventure. Deep Adventure Ministries is grateful to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for underwriting the Bear Woznick adventure on EWTN. Notre Dame Federal Credit Union provides car loans, mortgages, SBA loans, and depository accounts nationwide, as well as 24-hour support. Go to deepadventure.com to find their link, or go to NotreDameFCU.com. Mahalo to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for making the Bear Woznick adventure possible. Here is a YouTube video short which is based on an excerpt from my newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Nice guy versus a good man. Women know that there is a difference between a nice guy and a good man. While the nice guy may be helpful, never offend anyone, and is easy just to be around, or in fact even to be pushed around, they also know that when push comes to shove, that they want a man that they can rely on, that has backbone, determination, competence, confidence, and grit to better themselves and the lives of those around him, and who will do the right thing come hell or high water, no matter the personal sacrifice. Women push the nice guy aside into the friend zone while they wait hoping for someone with manly virtue.
Are you still listening? I thought we warned you to change to an easy listening station. Well, you asked for it. Here is more of the Bear Woznick adventure.
Aloha, welcome to the Bear Woznick adventure. Hey, you guys, my book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone, was ranked up as high as 5th for Christian books for men. It's still doing really well. You can go to our website, schoolofmanliness.com, and get an autographed book. If you want to get a less expensive, you can go to Amazon, and we love that too, because then they beef up their promotion of the book, or any of the bookstores, Catholic bookstores too. 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? We're talking with BJ Mckay. I like what you said, BJ. We're talking about being ready for those moments. If you're a man and you're not getting up an hour early before your family to pray and have time with God, you've already lost the battle. And part of that prayer time is God positioning you, speaking to you through his word and in your heart, in your prayer, for that moment that's going to come later in the day, where you're going to have the opportunity or be called upon to reach someone. But one of the things my mom used to say is that she would ask someone, have you heard the gospel has that person heard the gospel from a credible witness? Would someone preach at them whose life didn't speak it, the way they didn't speak it in love? If you live a life of virtue, then that moment comes to you when someone needs to hear the word, because they know you're credible. I thought that was a powerful statement. I don't know when you said the word credible, am I credible? Have I earned their respect enough, and also being gritty and real enough to have a conversation like that, to uncle someone or with a friend or someone?
Yep, 100%. That resonates with me, and I think that marrying those practices, it's like that. The life of a Christian it's a daily, hourly, minute by minute intentionality. And in the busyness and everything that's going on, from like everything going on with AI now to social media to everything happening at once, and you could find out everything at once, it's getting more, we're in more of a desert or a wasteland right now of intentional time to just pull out that sacred pause and to do it, and expecting that to just show up. Well, when things calm down, and when this happens, or when that happens, or when vacation comes, it's a poor framework, Bear, to start that, versus how about 2 minutes? Can you do 2 minutes a day on your car ride, right when you park in the parking lot, wherever you're at, and just, that's your 2 minutes, hit 2 minutes. If you want to do more, that's fine, but just 2 minutes a day of whatever, silence, a prayer. They're listening to something from your material, anything, just start. But I can't read that much. Doesn't even matter. And even in the gym, Bear, with the fitness operation that I run, we talk about the rep that is the hardest rep in the whole world that you're going to do. It's not like in deadlift. It's right now, you're currently not here during this time of day. Your body is somewhere else during that time. Usually that's your habit structure. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That drive there to somewhere different is the most delicate, dangerous part of this whole experience. It's nothing that happens inside the door. Nothing in here is going to be hard to you. That is going to be extremely hard. I think the same goes through practices of sanctity, of prayer, whether it's liturgy, the hours, you have your own prayer book, you read from the missal, whatever your personal practice is, it has to embed itself daily, maybe even multiple times a day in your real life. And I think sometimes the most bombastic men, the biggest mistake they make is they overreach out of the gates, almost like a New Year's resolution. And we're in week 2 and it's already gone.
Yeah. And the thing, I like the hardest lift, they always say, lift until your muscle failure, right? But the real hardest one is the lifting, getting out of your chair and going to the gym or starting whatever workout you're going to do. That's the hard one, the first one. But we talked about how the Catechism talks about virtue as being a habit. A habit is a superpower. It takes motivation the first time you begin your work, you begin your exercise regimen. So you're going to start a new regimen. But after 30 or maybe 100 days, probably 30 to 60 days, the first one takes motivation. The next 30 or 60 take discipline, and then after that, the habit kicks in, and your body goes, "Hey, what are you doing? We're supposed to go swim right now." So there's a superpower. We know that from a physical fitness point of view, and but there's also that same thing. That's what the word disciple comes from, is discipline, right? Mm-hmm. There's also that same thing in our spirituality. Are you going to make a commitment to daily mass? Well, when you start the first one, and then you do the discipline of the next 10 to 20 to 30, by day 31, you're already on your way without even thinking about it. So there is that superpower, of the habit, and the Catholic Church teaches us about that. Two things I want to bring up. First, I really love you're using the word intentionality. We talk about in my book, 12 Rules for Manliness, writing out a personal code. Well, write a personal creed, a 1-sentence creed of who you are, what your purpose is. And I was thinking about that Pirates of the Caribbean scene with the witches talking to Jack Sparrow. And she's like making a stew, and she said, "You've corrupted your purpose." And philosophically, that word purpose is the word telos, that each of us are made so uniquely. Not just that we have the purpose to be Christians and to be with the Lord, but we're wired. Like when we sailed into, since the last time I saw you, we've been sailing in the Caribbean for a month or so. When we sail into a harbor, especially at night, and there's reefs on either side, we're checking our gauges, but we're looking for the buoys, the red flashing light and the green flashing light. And we know if we can get there and leave the red light on our right side, our starboard side, red right return, and the green side on our port side, that we're going to safely enter that harbor. We need to look at our red right return as kind of like, I think of it as the weaknesses we have, our limitations, God-given limitations, and the left side as the gifts and callings of God. But we need to know our telos. We need to know how God made us, and then we need to pursue that purpose. Not just kind of walk along through life, but have that intentionality. And I want to change the subject now to something more important. How was your surfing when you were here?
No, I mean, it went great. First of all, I'm freezing here in Indiana. It's like right around like 30 degrees where you're talking to me now. So even being in the water doing it terribly would be a massive upgrade. But it was great. I mean, you and your friend, what was his first name?
Micah was? I don't know which friend. I don't have any friends, actually.
Yeah, I'll go. You stop it. But I got a good lesson on the first day of just how to get on the board, and then I got to go out
Micah.
there.
Yeah. Oh no, it was the other. Oh,
he had a ponytail, taller guy.
Don't remember, because I sent you to another guy who then sent you to another guy, I thought, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The old Beach Boy guy. He took me out. He was amazing. What was his name? Do you remember his name? Lumpy.
Lumpy. Right? Yeah, Lumpy.
Yeah,
he has a little Chinese little pigtail.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job taking me out there, learning, and just being. I mean, it's like, I mean, all the analogies to life, way better than me as it relates to surfing, where it's like, I can't control where that water goes and the timing and everything else. It's like, I need to be prepared with my skills, which were extremely limited. I mean, I'd never I'm in the landlocked in corn out here in Indiana. So being out there is very foreign to me.
Waves of grain.
Yeah, waves of grain. A little tougher to surf the waves of grain, Bear.
Yeah.
But out there, but it was beautiful to learn something new. And bottom of my feet hurt, which was weird. Never thought that was going to be the case. Like, we're just trying to like manage myself on the board, and then you were right when you told me it's not the surfing, it's the paddling.
Yeah,
100% accurate. I was like, that the surfing part was actually easier than the paddling back to where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, because the surfboard wants to surf, but that goes back to intentionality, right? I mean, like, that paddling is the discipline. Like, first of all, I got to get down to the beach, I got to get a board, and then I got to paddle out. And then paddling for it, paddle. You can't surf without a wave. Same thing with our intentionality of our prayer life. We need to get out. We got to get in the water. You can't surf with you're not in the water. But you got to paddle into that day through prayer. And then the wave will come. The wave, you never know when the wave's going to come. And that's what I'm talking about, being aware of people that you're seeing. Just a smile sometimes at the right time means so much to someone. And saying to someone, I'm so proud of you, young man, you have a beautiful family there, or something like that. So going back to that intentionality, but it is all about paddling. And then if you get to the beach and you paddle out and you wait for the wave and you paddle for the wave and you miss it, a lot of times you miss, but it positions you in just the right spot for the next better wave that's coming. And then you catch that, but you have to have the intentionality to paddle out and have the endurance to keep paddling in your daily walk with the Lord and in prayer, and then the waves come. But you got to start off with paddling. Hey, BJ, you got 10 seconds to tell us how we can reach you.
Yeah, I'm not really active much on social media. I'm doing Exodus 90 right now, so we're right in the thrust of that. So
That's
no social
cool.
media, but always easiest to find me on LinkedIn. It's Brian BJ Mckay. Brian BJ Mckay on LinkedIn is probably the best way to find me. And Bear keeps pushing me to write a book and to do some things to be easier to find. So hopefully before the next time you see me, there might be something else I can point people to.
Send me the title. You just send me the title so I know you're on your way. We're talking with BJ Mckay. Until next week, may the breath of the Holy Spirit aloha you. Aloha.
Thanks for listening to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Find more manly conversation at the Bear Woznick Deep Adventure YouTube channel. Subscribe and ring the bell.